how you doing? It's Monday, I know, but don't worry, because that means it's time for another episode of 5 things we learned from the weekend's football. Needs a catchier title. So I hope you had a good weekend. You know, quite a lot went down in the world of football. And we start with a record breaker. And that record breaker is Wayne Rooney. Now, he scored his 250th goal for Man United, making him their all-time top goal scorer. And it was a good goal. It was a free kick against Stoke from the corner of the box, right in the top corner. Really nice goal. Yeah. And a few weeks ago, he got his 249th, the one that drew him level with Bobby Charlton. And that was a terrible goal against Reading, off his knee, awful. So at least I guess he got the landmark goal with a nice strike, and fair play to him. It's the sort of free kick that back in the day, in his prime, he was knocking in on a regular basis. The thing that annoyed me about it though this weekend was that I watched the game on Match of the Day because I was out in the afternoon watching Palace lose. More on that later. And the commentary on Match of the Day basically told me that Rooney was going to break the record before he did it, and I didn't know this before watching Match of the Day. So when he came off the bench, the commentary said, well, here comes Rooney off the bench, and he only needs one more goal to break Bobby Charlton's record, and wouldn't it be great if he got it today? And I was thinking, okay, great, well, he's clearly going to score. That's so obvious. Really annoying. Like, please don't do that. Don't ruin that moment for me, please. That would have been quite an entertaining moment, but when it happened, I was like, well, I now knew that was going to happen, so that was annoying. But Wayne Rooney does get a lot of criticism, right? And even on this channel, I've done songs and videos taking the mickey out of him in the past, mostly for his hairline more than anything. But the guy is top scorer for Man United, top scorer for England. Even though he is clearly on the downward of his career, he's been a great player, and his record speaks for itself. So, do you know what, Wayne? Congratulations, okay? I learnt this weekend that you're a great player. I sort of knew that anyway. But you deserve your moment in the sun with this new record. So, congratulations. The second thing that I learnt this weekend is that Alan Shearer hates Palace. Now, I am a Palace fan. I've quite a few people commenting on my other videos saying, who do I support? I'm a Crystal Palace fan. My dad said to me when I was about 5, right, you're a Palace fan or get out of the house. And I was like, all right, fine, I'll be a Palace fan. And I have been for a long, long time. So I was at Selhurst on Saturday to watch Palace lose again against Everton. It was freezing cold. It wasn't that great a game. And Palace are in serious trouble, but that's for another video. Alan Shearer, though, seems to have some sort of vendetta against Palace. Regularly on Match of the Day, he finds a way to criticise the players. Even players like Wilf Zaha, who is probably our one shining light this season and is actually playing very well every game, obviously is now at AFCON. Shearer just hates Palace. And this weekend, he continued onto Twitter, where he started picking apart Palace fans who were tweeting him saying, why are you being so harsh on Palace? And at one point, said, you guys were for the majority of the game. Well, one, they weren't. The game was pretty bad. The Palace were actually probably the better team in the first half. And two, should a pundit be saying that on Twitter to the world? It doesn't look very impartial to me. It doesn't look very professional either. And I'm sure Shearer's a nice guy. He seems like a good guy, but he clearly has a bee in his bonnet about Palace for some reason. There were reports that he applied for the Palace job a couple of years ago and didn't get it, so maybe he's still bitter about that. But it just means that every time now I see him on Match of the Day, I always think he's going to be a bit biased against Palace, and that they should be impartial, shouldn't they? And it doesn't feel like that at all. So, I don't know. Maybe we could invite Alan down to Palace for the day. I could take him to the pub and show him that Palace fans are actually, you know, just as frustrated as anyone else at the moment. And maybe we can try and get Shearer to love Palace again, because he definitely doesn't seem to like us. The third thing I learnt this weekend is that Alexis Sanchez is as cool as ice. That penalty against Burnley, my word, 97th minute, you need the win to stay in contact with Chelsea at the top, and you do a cheeky little Panenka into the goal. It's impressive. Like, the guy is super confident, and you know, understandably, he is very talented. Turns out this weekend I accidentally triple captained him as well for my fantasy team, which is good because he scored, but he only scored 1. So I probably should have saved that for a different week. But do you know what? My fantasy team is long gone anyway. I'm not going to win any of the leagues I'm in, so that's just that's just gone. It did make me laugh the way that Arsenal fans celebrated the weekend. Yes, I know, like when you've conceded a penalty in the 90th minute and then you scored in the 97th minute, that's great, I love that, but it's 2-1 against Burnley, and Burnley got one of the worst away records in the Premier League, so it's like, come on guys, have a bit of perspective. I know you've won, I know you're keeping up with Chelsea at the top of the table, but, you know, put it into perspective a bit, it is only Burnley. And we did also learn during this game that Arsene Wenger got a bit of spark about him. He was sent to the stand after Burnley won their penalty and refused to go. Was stood in the tunnel, and Anthony Taylor, the fourth official, was asking him to go. And he was pushing Taylor out the way like some guy having a fight in a pub car park at the end of a night boozing session. It was great. I like it. I like character from managers like this, and I didn't really think Wenger had it in him. I always thought he's kind of this mild-mannered French intelligent guy, which he is obviously. Didn't know he's got this streak about him. I quite like it. It makes me like him even more. I also learned this weekend that Rod Stewart, famous pop star from the 60s/70s/80s/90s, I think he's been around for a while actually, loves the Scottish Cup. There was great footage of him doing the draw for the Scottish Cup and looking very animated, it must be said.
Number 3! Celtic.
And fair play, cup competitions are exciting, but he was definitely going for it. Now, it got reported in different ways. Some people said, oh, bizarre antics. Some people said, yeah, maybe he'd had a few drinks beforehand. But do you know what? Either way, I don't really care. Like, I think it's quite funny. You know, and the cup draws, especially for the FA Cup, are so boring sometimes. Actually, anything to liven them up, I think it's fine. And Rod Stewart, you know, we see him quite a lot, don't we, at Celtic games, and he's quite involved with Scottish football. And let's be honest, Scottish football is pretty boring anyway. Not a lot happens outside of Glasgow. So anything that I think brings it to public attention, even if it is him a little bit tipsy, in enjoying the cup draw, making what is essentially a very dull process a bit more entertaining, then, you know what? Fair play to him. Why don't we invite him down to do the FA Cup draws? Because it'd certainly liven them up, because they are absolutely horrendously boring. And the final thing this weekend, not so much something we learned, but more just feelings of support that go out to Hull midfielder Ryan Mason, who was involved in a sickening clash of heads with Gary Cahill during the Chelsea game late on Sunday evening. He was taken to hospital where it's reported that he is in a stable condition, and in fact reports today on Monday saying that he is talking again, but it was clearly a really, really serious head injury, and the thoughts of everyone, all football fans, I'm sure, from everywhere, are with him and with Hull and his family and his friends, hoping that he makes a full recovery and is able to return to the Hull team very soon. I do get surprised we don't have more instances like this in football, because you see a lot of head clashes, a lot of head injuries, and a lot of time players get up again and carry on, and there is arguments that even if a player looks okay when they've had a head injury, they could easily have mild concussion, that they should be taken off, as we do have in other sports. I think it's like that in rugby, because head injuries are really nasty, and even the smallest thing can have effects. And I think we need to take a slightly more serious approach to head injuries, even if the players look okay. That they should be really cautious with them. I know it's frustrating because a player wants to play, don't they, no matter what. But what is another 45 minutes out of the game this week to make sure you're okay in the long term, not just for your career, but your health in general. So obviously we all hope that Ryan Mason is okay, makes a full recovery. And I do hope as well that the football governing bodies do really take a serious look at head injuries and try and be as cautious as possible in the future. And not just in the Premier League, but at lower level, Saturday League, Sunday League as well. This isn't for the benefit of just football fans and football players, but I think for everyone involved with the game. So that's it. Hope you enjoyed it and enjoyed your weekend. Do me a favour, drop a like on the video if you enjoyed it, and comment below with what you learned this weekend from the football. And if you haven't yet, subscribe for videos every Monday, every Friday, and some in between. Subscribers now up to like 8,500, I think. Can we get 10,000 by the end of January? I think we can do it. So if you haven't subscribed yet, do it. Let's see if we can hit 10k before the end of January. And follow me on social media as well, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, it's all down there below the video, because I've got some exciting live show news coming in the next couple of days. So if you want to come and see me live doing some of my songs and some stand-up and football related comedy, then keep an eye on my social media channels for some big news about that coming in the next few days. Right, that's it. Thanks for watching. I'm off to go and see if I can reason with Alan Shearer on Twitter.